Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my Cairo studio. Today I'm going to be painting probably some spring flowers. I'm not going to say definitely because you never know. And I'm going to be using today a set of paints which was specially curated for me by Victoria Hilbrecht, VH Aquarelle. It's a German handmade paint manufacturer, and they're not inexpensive, but they are very special. And if you feel like treating yourself, I highly recommend you go and take a look at her website. I'll put a link in the description below. I chose these particular 16 colours because to me they seemed like a really good spring floral palette. Unfortunately for me, painting from pans doesn't really come naturally. I like to use either the large pans from Kuretake or else tube paints, which I squeeze out into a larger palette. But there is a way around that, and I know a lot of people automatically do this kind of thing anyway, but I'm going to start off today by, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little squeezy thing, and I'm going to put a little bit of water into each of these sections on this plastic palette that I've got here. You know, one of the things with painting I find is that if you're the kind of person who likes to solve problems and to improvise and compromise and, you know, all that kind of stuff, painting, art and so on and so forth does give you the opportunity to let your imagination and your creativity kind of, exercise itself, because I've got very limited equipment here in Egypt at the moment, because obviously I'm not at home. So I only have with me one plastic palette, this one, and one very small one, this one. This one works really well for the Kuretake pans because each one of these sections takes a pan. If I just grab one, I can show you. You can put a pan like that, and then you can, you know, dilute it a bit here. I don't actually know where I got this from, but it says Conte, made in the UK. It's very old. I have no idea where it came from. Anyway, that's not helpful to you, but what I mean is you just work with what you've got, don't you? So I'm going to use probably all of these colours in this painting that I'm going to do. And I'm going to start off by mixing up, preparing a little bit of each colour by picking up some paint from the pan and dropping it into one of these little sections here. This is going to take a little bit of time, and I must admit there are days on which I wouldn't be able to do this because I would lose patience. But today I'm going to try to chill out. So this colour here is this nice bright yellow. I'm going to try it out as we go along so that you can see what I've got here in this nice set. So this is colour 101, that's this one here. And then I've got this yellow here, which is a warmer yellow. That first one is kind of lemon yellow, isn't it? It's quite sharp, acidic kind of colour. And this one is, as you can see, a much warmer yellow, more like orange juice or something like that. This one is somewhere between the two, I think. It's very similar to that one, actually. I think that in the set, if you bought this set from Victoria, you probably wouldn't get both of those. I think that one's 1003 and that one's 1001 or something like that. So they're very similar. And then here we have this colour. Oops, cool, that's quite strong. That one's a lot stronger than those others. It's kind of sienna kind of colour, isn't it? And then we're going into the reds. This is one called Real Red. I think that probably makes a nice pink. when it's diluted. This one's called Fuchsia. I suppose this is a kind of calming sort of process, isn't it? This one is, I don't know what that's called, but this is a kind of purpley colour. That's not unlike that. This one is violet. I know some people like to watch colours being swatched out. This one's Indanthrone Blue. So we'll go up the top here. That's a nice dark blue, isn't it? That will mix up very well with some of the other colours to make darks. Oops. Ah, naughty, naughty. What did I do? I forgot to fill my well, so to speak. Talking about filling one's well, I don't know if any of you have ever seen any of the work of Alison Fennell. She's a Welsh lady who does watercolour, and I think she's very good. And she used to be on YouTube, but I don't think she does it anymore. Had a few health problems, I think. Oops. Stop talking. If I talk, I can't do the right thing. Anyway, she used to talk about needing to take time to refill her creative well. And I'm in a position like that at the moment. And I think a lot of people call that burnout. You know, I think that's probably going a bit too far. I don't think I'm burnt out, but I can feel that it could happen. And, you know, we all talk about these things, don't we? And this one is a kind of sludgy green colour. I think it's called slate grey. And we'll mix some of that up. So what you have to do is you have to take time to refill your well, so to speak. And that means, I think, as Tamsin and I spent a long time talking, we had a bit of a 2 and 8 yesterday, bit of a, you know, well, that's what we called it in England anyway, years ago, 2 and 8. I don't know what that stood for, but it's another way of saying disagreement. And, okay, so this is sap green. Anyway, so we talked it all through, and I have come to the conclusion that I need to refill my well. So that doesn't mean to say I'm not going to do any more painting. I am. But we're not going to be... We want to try to release the pressure a little bit. There's too much pressure on all of us. Far too much pressure from so many directions. And things have got very difficult just now, haven't they? Especially with what's going on in America. Right, and that one's brown. This is sepia. Okay, so sepia is there, a little bit more of that one perhaps. And then we have the next colour is something called Caput Mortem, which is a very strong, sort of opaque colour. Well, when I say strong, I think it's often used for skin tones. And just one more, beige pink is this one here. It's a very pale kind of sand colour. Let's pick up a bit more of that if I can. Now this painting that I'm going to do, I was browsing through Spoonflower yesterday. I know you know what Spoonflower is. Looking for curtain material and things like that. Well, actually, I went on there because a lot of people have said, why don't you make fabric out of some of your designs? And I never have. But I painted the dove that I painted the other day, which came out unexpectedly pleasingly for me. I mean, it's not what you would call a huge success on YouTube, but I was pleased with the way it came out. I just liked the colours, and because it had some significance for me, because we've been watching the doves on the balcony and everything. So that sort of... Anyway, so I thought, oh, that'd be nice to make a cushion out of that. Could get that printed, and I might very well do that. Anyway, so I was looking through and looking at different sort of designs and things with a view to getting some ideas for what to paint. And so I've come up with this version of something that I found, which won't be anything like the one I'm looking at the moment. But so there we are. Those are the colours that we're going to be using, and I'm going to try and use all of those colours. And I'm going to use a size, I think it's about, I haven't got a number on it actually, I don't know why, but it's about size 9 round. And I'm going to put this over here for a minute, out of the way a little bit, and turn my paper around. This is Meaden watercolour paper, cold press, 100% cotton, 12 by 9 inches. I was watching somebody earlier today who was a very tiny channel. She's got about 30 subscribers or something, but she was telling people that if they want to learn to paint, they need to buy expensive, relatively expensive materials and so on, including Archie's watercolour paper. And Tamsin said, oh, God, she said, I find Archie's is so difficult to paint on. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't recommend it for people who want to just enjoy painting, because it's not meant for beginners. Whatever. Anyway, so let's start now. What I'm going to do on this piece of paper, I'm not going to do an overall background behind the flowers and things. I'm just going to leave that white, or creamy colour really, isn't it? And I'm going to, with this not very big brush, I'm going to go through and put little dabs of different shapes. In fact, I might use more than one brush shape. I might use, like this one, a small flat perhaps, or an oval like this, because these are going to give slightly different blobs. And the idea behind this is to do lots of different shaped blobs. So maybe I might even use this one. I don't use strange and unusual brush shapes often, but let's see what happens. Let's just try it out. Let's just, for example, pick up a bit of anything really and see. So, just doing the usual sort of strokes that I do. What do I get? Is there any purpose for these other odd-shaped brushes, I wonder? I think possibly the oval might be useful. I think that might be quite good for, I wonder if it would make yeah. So I might use that one. And is there any difference between that and Yeah, well, this holds a lot more water, actually. So if you wanted something to be a bit more, yeah, I think I might use this one as my main brush, actually. So this is a size 4 filbert. You'd have to go to a brush shop to find this kind of brush. I got mine from Craftmo, but we don't work with them anymore, so I can't recommend that you do that. That we never offered this one in any case. This was just an experiment. Right then, so let's get started on this and see where it takes us. So what I want to aim for is an overall mixture of different colours, just kind of saying spring. So I don't know how this is going to work, but we'll see. So let's start up here with the yellow, I suppose. And as it runs out, I'll add some more. And this is where, if you like to paint music and you're copying me, if you're working along with me, good point to put on some nice relaxing background music. And I think this is a good opportunity to kind of let colours blend and mix and match. And my idea behind this, looking at the picture that I'm using as an inspiration, is to just do little dabs all over, evenly, lightly in the background. I don't know if this is going to work. I've never done this before. Never even tried it. So I have no idea. So you're in at the, what's the word, in at the starting point, so to speak. Sort of orangey colour. Like I said, might have to mix up a bit more as we go along. And maybe we want some green, greenish. One of the teachers who, I can't remember who now it was, but somebody I learnt from in years gone by, said, never use the same colour twice. And by that he meant, I think it was a man, when you pick up some colour like that, and you go back to renew it, always mix something else with it. Don't just pick it straight up. Always mix something with it. I think that's well worth remembering. And after you've got a certain distance, you might sort of step back a bit and look and think, how's it going? You see, I am using this mixing space here as well as my little wells. And trying to keep the colours reasonably clean. Let's have some of these neutrals. Yeah, I don't want to use too much dark at this point because I need to once the background is kind of dry, we'll come in with more contrasty things over the top, kind of thing. It's quite interesting. You might find this quite interesting. You might find it a little bit annoying as well, or frustrating. I don't know. I think I'm going to just spatter a bit. Okay, let's put some, I haven't used any blue. Let's put some blue in here and there. It's another blue here, it's Indian throne blue. And let's find some of this green. I think we want a bit more red, so I'm going to go to the real red. And we'll just drop that in on top of some of the pinks. Be careful not to put it anywhere where it's going to turn grey, because we want to keep our colours nice and clean if we possibly can. Okay, so that's that. And so that's not the end. We're not finished yet. That is just literally background colour broken up, a bit like what was his name? Who was that? Pissarro, was it? The French painter who painted in dots. Cézanne? No. See, like I said the other day, I should have studied the great masters, then I would know exactly who I was talking about. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is stop for a sec and dry it, and then come back for the next step. Okay, so now let's put on some larger blobs, pretty much kind of at random. And I think what I'm going to do in order to achieve this random look, I'm going to splash, or even maybe spray. It was Georges, I think, Seurat, who painted in dots and allowed pictures to emerge. Yes, so I'm going to put larger chunks of paint, clean colours, if I can bring myself to do it. I'm using the larger round, and I'm going to use slightly stronger colours, and we'll start to put in some, it's too much there. Green. Now I'd like to ask you, have you ever seen a painting done like this before? I haven't. And we don't know, do we, until it's done, whether or not it was a worthwhile experiment. But anyway, all experiments are worthwhile, I think. And I'm going to now pick up a brush pen . I haven't got very many here, but I've got a few. And what I want is some sort of green, dark green, I think. Oops. Yeah, that looks about right. And what I'm going to try and do, I'm using a brush pen because I think it'd be too difficult to concentrate . The other thing you could do is small dots. This is an experiment, right? Okay, so bear with me. Bear with me. As a lot of people say when they have watched my process, oh my goodness, you got halfway through it and I thought, oh my gosh, what is she doing? Well, you know as well as I do, I don't know. And yes, so I'm using this brush pen and I'm going to enhance some of these colours and make this yellow brighter. I quite like this colour, I think this is. I'm just kind of switching it in a bit. Sunshine. Got plenty of that here in Cairo. Plenty of sunshine. It's interesting when the yellow goes over other colours because it changes according to what's underneath it, of course. Now the question is, where does one go from here? Because what I've created, it seems, is kind of multicoloured, light speckled Seurat style background. It sort of looks like a garden full of flowers. So what I probably want to do is find a really dark green. I hope I've got one here because I didn't bring all the colours with me. Yeah, that might work. And then let's and we can do this over here as well because this one didn't work out very well. So I'll go over it in darker because that's going to work out much better. And then we've got one here. And we could have some I've gone very quiet. I know this happens quite often when I start to worry about what's going to happen. But I think we probably need to put some more here. Maybe we'll put some more leaves up here. I quite like the way these go sort of patchy like that, almost like as if the ink is running out. It probably is. But I think it's mostly the texture of the paper underneath. Okay. Right, so now we need, I think, probably we need to increase the intensity of things like the purple and so on. We just need to keep the contrast. And red, definitely need red. Orange. And green, dark green, mixed with a bit of Indanthrone blue. Yeah, sap green and Indanthrone blue, I think it's pretty good. And then what I'm trying to do is to remember to go over, put darker green over the lighter green rather than going just spot, spot, spot. Because I'm not Georges Seurat. I can't really emulate him, but we can put and then we do need some more lines, I think. And then what about some white? What about some white? No, maybe not. Maybe not. Black. That's what we need. whoops, we need some black. Fine. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Turn it around this way so I don't put my hand in the paint. And here. This is a 0.1, I think. Yeah, so very fine lines. And this one. But I do like to go outside of the lines. So on some of these pink blobs, I'm going to do some petals. Like water lilies. Don't you think? Put one up here. Okay, this is a yellow one, just to be different. Okay, and how about a bit of gold? What do you think about a bit of gold? What do we think about a bit of gold on here? And here. And here, just a little bit. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that at all. I think that's quite interesting. Different. I'm not sure if it's finished. I think it probably is. It probably, I don't know, could do with maybe a little bit of white, perhaps, somewhere. I'm kind of a little bit concerned about the... No, I don't think so. I think it's probably okay the way it is. I think it's quite a nice background. Not quite sure how it's going to be when it's dry, but anyway, that was fun. If you enjoyed seeing these paints be used, these VH Aquarelle paints, I'm sure Victoria would be happy to ship them to America or England or anywhere else, come to that, in Europe. And yeah, that was interesting mixing up the paints first of all. I think I might do a new swatch card for that because it's not in order. And yeah, so what do you think? Tell me in the description below, sorry, in the comments below, what you think of that as a way. I think it's actually a pretty good way to warm up. And then after you've done that, you can take your paints and paint something sensible. Because you think, well, I've tried out all those different colours and I've got all those different ideas and combinations going on there, and maybe I can make something of it next time. Because as I have said more than once, the best way of learning to paint is to paint the same thing more than once. So anyway, I shall let you go now. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, or even if you didn't hate it, you could like it, if you see what I mean. And consider joining our Patreon or our membership here on YouTube, because that way you do get exclusive content and various different things which hopefully you enjoy. So I'll let you go, and I will see you again soon. So I'll say bye for now. Bye everybody. Bye bye.